As many users of the book already know, I am the author of a blog called Everyday Research Methods. I actually post twice a month. That's 152 times since 2011. For almost every post, I find an article about new research in psychological science written by a journalist for a popular audience, something that will engage students. For example, a recent post was about the economics of sleep and how people's wages are higher if they live at the eastern end of a time zone compared to living at the western end of the same time zone, presumably because people get more sleep on the east side of the time zone because the sun goes down sooner. In each example, like this one, I summarize and quote from the journalist's piece and then write questions for students. In the economics of sleep example, the study was a quasi-experiment, so my questions directed students to identify the independent variable and the dependent variable, and then identify which type of quasi-experiment it was. And I also asked whether the study really supported the claim that getting more sleep increases your wages. Other blog posts have been about studies on the distraction caused by cell phones, or which kinds of people believe conspiracy theories, and what happens when we view scenes in slow motion or not. There are a lot of accessible studies that students can relate to and find engaging, and journalists have written about them. Some instructors have said to me, I really like the blog posts, but how can I incorporate them into my course? So here's 3 ways that I use the blog in my own course. First, I base my homework problems off these types of stories. So for example, if I'm looking for a fresh homework example for simple experimental designs, I click on Chapter 10 on the blog's index, and all the relevant stories I could use come up. Second, when I write essay exam questions, I'll find a story from the blog and use blocks of text from the original article as specimens for students to analyze. In other words, one of my major learning goals is for students to become critical consumers of information. I hope to train them on this skill with their homework assignments and then assess it on exams. And the blog is a repository of multiple examples we can use for both formative and summative assessments. A third way I've used the blog is for final term papers. In my course, the final assignment requires students to critically analyze how well a journalist has described a research study in their article. I call this a journal to journalism assignment. Students find an example on the blog first. Then they track down the original journal article and analyze it on the 4 big validities. Finally, they explain what the journalist got right or wrong in their article. This assignment really brings the whole course together because students apply research methods to reading and evaluating empirical journal articles, and they also practice evaluating claims that journalists make about those studies. Over the years, many people have emailed me suggestions for stories to use on the blog. I'm so grateful to them, and I hope you'll send me suggestions too.